a mess and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.
It's a Friday morning, time now for Home Repairs and Solutions with Mark and Mary, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And now here are your hosts, Mary Person and Mark Withers. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
It's great to be here today.
It's great to be anywhere every day.
There. Now, there's a perspective for you.
Boy, I tell you, yeah, it is.
I agree with you, Dan. It's all good.
Yep. Well, just look outside. The sunshine. It's December, but the sun's shining, and don't it just make you feel good?
You know what?
Yeah.
I can take just about any kind of weather if the sun is out.
That's right.
If the sun's shining, it's all good. You can deal with it. But those gloomy, gray, overcast, ugly days are just depressing to me. I just don't like them.
I like a few of them. There's nothing like a good old day that it's raining or snowing just to sit inside by the fire.
Well, yeah, if I can be at home.
But yeah, if you have to be out working and stuff, this is my kind of weather.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And as usual on Fridays, this is my favorite hour of the week. I just have so much fun when we come in on Fridays, and I look forward to coming here every Friday and talking to you and to our guests and everything, and hopefully hearing from some of our listeners that might want to call in and ask questions or just chat with us about whatever's on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll let you start off. You can introduce our guest today.
Well, I'll tell you what. This gentleman here is no stranger to the show. He's been here before.
Yes, he has.
And he's no stranger to the real estate business and to Remax House of Brokers. And he's one of our fine young agents over there at the office, and Ron Hartman.
Glad to be here, guys.
Glad to have you back.
Yes, we are. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh, not a problem. I really enjoyed it last time.
So we're going to talk a little real estate or whatever you want to talk about, and me and Ron could probably talk a little motorcycles and this, that, and the other too, a little bit of everything if you want to. But our numbers to call is 862-9977, 1-800-375-0056, and we would love to hear from you today.
Yes, we would. We always like to hear from our listeners.
Yeah.
I had one come into the office the other day. As a matter of fact, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure. My days get all jumbled up. But one of our listeners from Republic, she came in and brought in some food items for Cross Lines and put her name in for the free furnace that we're going to be giving away.
Right.
And so if anyone's still interested in doing that, this is your last week. Next Friday, we will be announcing the winner right here on the show.
That's right, yeah.
So drop your food items off at our office at 452 South Union Avenue here in Springfield. Put your name in the drawing, and you might win a furnace for Christmas.
There you go. Everybody could use a furnace for Christmas.
Especially if they don't have one that's working.
That'll keep you warm in the winter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I have a true story for you that happened to us this week. We have interesting things happen at Spring Mountain Air sometimes. And we had a client call, and she had been having some issues with her furnace, and she said that she didn't feel like she was getting any airflow out of her ductwork or anything, and her house was just didn't get warm, and this and that and the other. So we went out and checked it out for her, and the reason why, now we weren't the first company she'd called out. She'd actually called out some other companies. And they kind of looked at the furnace, and it seemed to be working okay as far as they were concerned, and told her that they didn't see any issues. And so we went out there, and the reason why that she didn't have any airflow coming through her ductwork, all of her ductwork had rusted and was laying on the ground. None of it was connected to the vents.
Whoa.
None of it. It was completely deteriorated, completely rusted out, total junk. So... of course, we pointed.
That might affect the way it works a little bit, right?
Yeah, that could explain why she was not warm.
Yeah.
So this week we went out and installed all new ductwork for her, insulated it all, got it all hooked up so that it would be hooked into the register so that the air would actually go into the home and not under the crawl space.
Right.
And her system was older, and she decided at that time to go ahead and put in a complete new system, a high-efficiency system, got her all fixed up. She is one happy camper.
Well, I bet. Wow.
So sometimes if you're having issues with your furnace, it's not always your furnace. It can be your ductwork. So whoever you have call come out there and look at things. If they don't check out your ductwork, you might want to call Spring Mountain Air, because it's a system. It's a heating and air conditioning system. And the interesting thing about all this is, as they were pulling the ductwork out from underneath the house and getting ready to bring it back so we could dispose of it, this was a little scary. But inside the ductwork, when they picked one up to load it, hypodermic needles fell out of the ductwork.
Really? Wow.
So someone at some point in time had been living in that home and had been putting their hypodermic needles down the vents.
I saw that happen one other time with a foreclosure, actually.
That is not a good thing, folks. You don't want hypodermic needles in your ductwork.
Absolutely not.
So,
wow.
True story. Just thought I'd throw that out there since we're talking about housing and all kinds of things. So,
well, you know, and also you bring up another point. You know, you do need to check your crawl space. This time of year, if you haven't closed your foundation vents, you need to do that too. Make sure your water hose is unhooked. We actually had one of our houses that listed for sale had a water line freeze and bust this past week. And you wouldn't think, you know, it's not been cold enough to really stay down, you know, that cold for 2 or 3 days, but it sure did. Busted a water line, so we had to pull a bunch of carpet and everything. So those little things like that we tend to forget. And another thing that really brings up too is have your ductwork cleaned. If she would have had somebody, if she'd have had Spring Mountain Air to come in and just clean her ductwork, you would have found that also. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing, some of the stuff we pull out of the ductwork. Some of it's funny, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Kids' socks and, you know, cat toys and whatever. But some of it is kind of ugly stuff that you don't want all of that, all those germs and all that stuff being circulated back into your home. So, just something to think about.
Absolutely. Well, Ron, tell us what's going on in the real estate business right now.
Well, generally, like every other year, this time of year around the holidays, it gets a little bit slower. This year, for me personally, it's been a little slower than I've really liked it to be. But at the same time, I feel pretty blessed. I don't have too much to complain about. I've got good clients that have been keeping me busy. So I feel lucky, but at the same time, I'm looking forward for this thing to keep on moving and get these short sales and foreclosures off the books so we can get back to the market how it used to be.
Right. Interest rates are still
real low.
Still low.
I mean, I don't remember what they were. Last time I checked, they were around 4.5%, but that was a couple weeks ago. I don't think they've really changed too much since then drastically, so you're really not going to beat those interest rates at all.
Right.
Well, they're a little cheaper than that on a 15, aren't they?
Yeah, and on a 15-year, I think they even dip down into the high threes.
Oh, my.
And so that's a good way to...
That's almost free money.
It's about as close as you'll get to it.
No kidding.
Yep.
You know, that is a good point right there. If a person can afford to, you know, we have in our mind a 25 or 30-year fixed loan. That's what everybody... But if you really check in that, a lot of times your payment's higher, but it's not that much higher to go with a 15.
And if you look at what you'll save on interest over that time period...
Sure.
It's a big deal.
It's a significant amount of money. I mean, could be up to $20,000-$30,000 or if not more, depending on what loan amount you have.
Sure, absolutely.
What I tell a lot of clients, too, that are trying to decide between a 15 and a 30, and it kind of depends on their financial and family situation, but a lot of times if they can have the discipline to go ahead and do a 30-year but just make extra payments onto it,
sure.
That way if they have a rough month or something and they need a little bit of extra money, they still got the lower house payment that a 30-year offers. But if they can, you just got to be disciplined enough to, when you have that extra money, to put it back into your mortgage, and that'll pay it off a lot quicker as well.
And sometimes that's hard for us to do.
It is. It's like, oh, well, I only have to pay X amount. Why should I have to pay any more? And it'll still get paid off, but it definitely pays off quicker when you add a $50 to $100 to each payment.
Speaking of making payments, this happened to someone I know, and I don't know how they got confused like this, but I know someone who was making extra, like making double payments because they were doing good, they were getting some overtime money and all that.
Yeah.
And so what people need to realize, though, is if you make double payments, you're not making 2 months worth of payments. You're making one payment, and you still owe a payment the next month.
Yes, that's a very good point.
So what happened is they had made all these additional payments, had some issues at work, got laid off and so forth, missed a payment, and guess what? They got a letter saying you missed a payment.
Yeah.
So don't be confused. Just because you put additional money on your payment, you are not prepaying a payment.
Right.
You still owe that payment
Yep,
every month.
exactly.
So don't get yourself in a situation where you get fouled up with your mortgage company thinking that, well, I've already paid extra payments. That just goes against your principal. You still owe the next month's payment.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So,
And I'd always heard, and I don't know if this is still true to the case or not, but if you're going to pay extra when you go in to make that payment and then say, I want to put this much extra towards the principal. Is that still the way it's done?
Yeah, the most depending if you pay online or if you still get the pay stubs in the mail, it'll have a spot on there to write in if you want additional to go towards your principal amount.
Right.
And that's what you want to do if you're going to make an extra payment. Put it towards your principal, and that way it'll pay down your loan quicker.
Sure.
where else would it go?
Sometimes it can go into, if you have an escrow account set up, which is what your taxes and your insurance is paid out of. If 1 year, say the taxes go up on your house a little bit, so your escrow might be a little short, you could put additional money into your escrow to keep your payment from going up.
Sure, right.
But those are really the only two spots that it would go, is either towards principal or towards your escrow
So
account.
you definitely need to specify where you want that additional money to go.
Yeah, and even if, at least the banks that I bank with online, when I pay my mortgage payments, it's got a spot for both of those to go, or if you still get the statements in the mail, it'll have a spot for both of those as well.
Right. Good way to pay that house off early.
Yeah, and like you said, if you can afford those little extra payments, even if you don't do one every month, but $50 to $100 a year, if you can try to get at least one full month's payment in a year and extra months of payments in a year, that'll take several years off your loan, and it's a good way to get that thing paid off a little bit earlier. And again, you'll save a lot of money on those interest
Sure
payments.
You will. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's amazing actually how fast that does reduce that. You would think that on, if you have a $100,000 mortgage, you wouldn't think that extra $100 a year would make that much difference, but it really does. If you do an amortization table and figure all that out, like you said, you can knock a few years off.
Especially in the early part of the loan, because the first
Right.
5 or so years of the loan is basically all
Interest.
So if you can take $300 or $400 off of your principal, those are months of payments that you're not having to make anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one other thing, and I don't know if this is still true, what is the average a person will stay in a home nowadays? They used to say about 7 years, and you're going to move. Is that still true, or is people getting in there and staying there now, or what do you see?
I haven't heard really any figures that have taken in the last 3 or 4 years to consider, because I think the last 3 or 4 years, less people have been moving. But I've still, every time I hear it, it's somewhere between 5 and 7 years is what people are staying in their homes. And I think the last couple of years may add on to that average a little bit, just because people have been, you're not seeing the luxury moves, as I call them, is the kids are out of high school, so let's buy a house that we like now.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing a lot of those moves anymore, and so people are sticking around a little bit longer. But I wouldn't be surprised if that average is still pretty close to right.
So if you took, even, if you were just going to stay in the house, say 5, 6, 7 years, and you did pay that down more, when you go to sell that house, you got a better chance of having a little more equity in it.
Have a little bit more equity, and especially in a down market like this, you'll have a little bit better chance of not having to bring money to closing. And we've kind of been talking ourselves out of business the last couple of years. We've been telling people if they're not going to stay in it at least 5 years or more, then they'd probably be better off renting as far as purchasing the house. Then when they sell it, they'll have the real estate commissions, closing costs, and anything like that.
Yeah.
And, unless you're going to stay in the house long enough for the market to turn back around, you're probably not going to. You'll be lucky to break even, and if not, have to come to closing with a little bit of money.
I think that would probably be the case, particularly in an older home that might need repairs and different things like that as well, too. Because, if you end up with an older home and then 3 years from now you need a new roof or something, and then you're going to sell it in 2 years, it's going to be really difficult to recoup that money that you've had to put into that home, I would think.
Yeah. My ex-father-in-law taught economics in high school. And this has been back several years ago, but same principle nowadays. He sat down and figured it up, how long it actually took for it to kind of turn around for you. When you consider paying, your interest, your taxes, your insurance, your upkeep, and everything, he says it takes about 10 years before you to ever really start making money. If a person's on average is only going to stay in the house 7 years, I know. Here we go talking ourselves out of business, Ron. But I mean, you know, I'd say those figures probably still hold good to the day. But if you can go in there with the idea and you can buy that property at a good enough price, which there's some really good price properties out there.
There are some great deals out there right now.
Then you have a chance to make some money.
That completely turns
it around.
If you can find a house that's structurally in relatively good shape but just needs a lot of cosmetic work, that you can maybe get it 20-30% below what the market value is.
Right.
Put in $10,000 or $15,000, and then you'll have, you know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of equity built into your house. That's what a lot of people are trying to do right now, and it's hard for first-time home buyers to do that because they'll have the money for the down payment and the closing costs, but maybe not the extra money that it'll take to fix the house up. So it's been real hard for a lot of the younger buyers that want to do something like that to be able to. But if someone has the capabilities to buy a home that's either a foreclosure or just lower than what the market value is, that's a way to go, and definitely set yourself up good for when you go to sell it. And get some pretty good equity out of it at least.
So I know we talk, you know, quite a bit about, well, you know, the economic times right now are not good, but there is some good opportunities to.
There's some great opportunity. I mean, any good opportunity is always going to have a little bit of risk with it, but you know, if you get a good plan going and make some good decisions, there's some time to make some money out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember the exact amount, but they said there are more millionaires made during economic slow times than there are economic high times, because the people who have a good business plan and have done the research to turn an investment and make it really work for them, this is the time when they come out of the woodwork and take advantage of depressed prices.
Yeah, and so there is some good deals out there. You know, that's where you come into play. Myself, all of us that's in the business, we can help people find those deals.
Yep. And what a lot of people are. Not everybody's going to be a good investor for houses. It takes a certain personality type. When a good deal comes around, you don't have a few days to think about it. When that good deal comes around, there's probably going to be 5 or 6 other people wanting to buy it as well. And if you're going to take 3 or 4 days to think about it, you're going to lose out.
You're going to lose out.
Sure.
I've had some clients had to experience that firsthand when I tell them they need to make a decision a little quicker and they don't, and it takes them losing 2 or 3 houses to really realize that they're going to either not have the personality for this or they need to start making quicker decisions.
Yep, exactly. We got a caller on the line. Let's talk to Roger in Branson. Go ahead, Roger.
Oh, I got a couple comments, and then I have a question on a problem I'm having.
Okay.
I've never seen in 32 years I've been in the real estate business a better time to buy.
Won't argue with you there.
That's just my comment, and I have an example to give you. I know someone who was renting, and they bought a home in an unincorporated area, 100% financing, owners paying the closing cost, and their payments $60 more than I was charging them for rent.
Yeah.
So I think that is a win-win.
Sure.
And those people who can take advantage of that should do so. Also, I'll take issue with you, Mary.
Okay.
If I buy a house, I expect it to have a good roof, and I don't think you recover your cost per roof. It's one of those things that's expected, you know. So, but I like to recover it through appreciation.
Sure.
But I don't necessarily think you can. An extra bathroom or remodeling your kitchen, sure, but a roof, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you do either.
I have a sunroom. And it's one of those factory deals. It's almost all glass. It's double pane glass. And it was an enclosed porch, so it's vinyl windows and vinyl siding before it was closed in. And I put my spa out there, and I really love it because I overlook the lake, and I can sit in my spa and look out over the lake, except for when the windows fog up so bad I can't see out of them because of the temperature change. The outside was 27, and the inside this morning was 60. So the room holds its temperature really well, but as soon as you flip the lid up on the spa, it goes foggy, and I put all those chemicals on the windows to try to keep it from fogging up, but they don't work. Dehumidifier, I wonder how you figure out what size you need to maybe keep up with that.
That's a good question. My husband or someone that's more in the technical aspect of the business could help you with that. That's what I was going to suggest. We had a spa in our sunroom as well, or a hot tub. And for the same reason, it was just a great place to have one inside the house. But you do have that issue with it. And so oftentimes if you can put some sort of dehumidifier in that room, that will clear up that issue for you. What size you need, that would be something you'd have to call the office and talk to someone else about size-wise. But that would definitely help with that problem and probably eliminate that problem.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think all that moisture is good for that room in the first place, even though everything seems to be vinyl or glass.
Right.
I'm just not sure that continued year after year, all that moisture in there, I can't imagine that being a good thing. So, all right, well, I thank you for your help, and I'll try that out and see how it works.
All right. Thanks, Roger.
Good call.
Yep.
Good call, and he did bring up a real good point for those people who are thinking about either buying a foreclosure or fixing up their own home. There are certain repairs or things you can do to a house that are just expected of a house.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Whether it be windows or a roof, a furnace, I mean, whatever the instance is, some of the things that you want to do to a house that you need to do to help sell it aren't going to necessarily be things that get you more money. And that's what a lot of people, especially first-time home flippers, they make the mistake. They think they'll put in the highest dollar window and then they'll recoup all of that, or they'll put in the highest dollar carpeting and they'll easily get that out, where it just depends on what price range your home is in. If it's a $100,000 house, you're not going to get the money out of putting granite in there. And that's a big mistake a lot of people make when they're trying to remodel a house.
Right. And I got to agree with Roger on the roof. You know, a roof is expected. I mean, if I buy a house, I expect it to have a decent roof.
Yep.
You know, and if in our business, of course, you know how, you know, we buy older houses and sell them, and, you know, too. But when we put a roof on one, we're not doing it because we think it's going to increase the value of that property. And you think people expect a roof on it. Yeah. That's part of it. If it needs a roof, you know. You're probably not going to recoup your money out of that roof. It should be there anyhow.
That's exactly right. And kind of an old saying is, you don't make your money when you sell the house. You made it when you bought your house.
Yeah,
make sure you buy it at that good deal to where you can afford to do those things that have to be done. Your roof, your furnace, your windows. You want to get those things, the house bought at a low enough price to where if you have to replace those things, you're still going to have your profit margin
exactly
in there.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand that. But, you know, when you get to, you know, remodeling kitchens, bathrooms, and, you know, stuff, there is certain things that you can add on a house that's really not going to, you know, the first thing people think, we'll put a pool in and we're going to, this is going to make this house worth a lot. Yeah, exactly. You know, there's things like that just don't do much, you know. But there is things that you can do.
You put a pool in for your enjoyment, not the next buyer.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. And what we tell a lot of our clients that are wanting to do remodels, we tell them, certain things do because you'll get the enjoyment out of them, not because you'll get more money out of them.
That is correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Looks like we're up against a break, so we're going to take a quick one here and be back at you shortly.
Sounds great.
This is the Wall Street Journal Report. I'm Jennifer Kashinka. Stocks are broadly higher as investors scrutinize an agreement among most EU members to tighten fiscal coordination. The Dow Industrial's up 112 at 12,110. The Nasdaq's up 24. The S&P 500 up 12. We're no longer so glum about the economy. The Reuters University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index rose more than 3 points in mid-December to its best level since June. Michael Gapin, senior economist at Barclays Capital, says an improving jobs picture is lifting spirits.
Most of the increase is coming from the idea that the labor market is getting a little bit better. It's not great. We wouldn't characterize it as a robust labor market, but it's better than it's been, say, 3 or 6 months ago.
Toyota slashed its profit forecast for this fiscal year by 54%, reflecting the hit to its production network from the massive flooding in Thailand and the effect of a strong yen on exports. Toyota set to lose its crown as a top-selling automaker to GM and Volkswagen. This is the Wall Street Journal Report.
Please listen to this important announcement from Pfizer, the makers of Lipitor, atorvastatin calcium tablets. Pfizer may help you reduce the cost of your monthly Lipitor prescription. For eligible patients, Lipitor is available for as little as $4 a month with the Lipitor copay card. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, please visit Lipitor.com. See our ad in Cooking Light magazine. Learn more at Lipitor.com or call 1-888-LIPITOR.
To Alex, what can I say to the greatest 4-year-old in the universe? I'm already so proud of you, and you can't even tie your shoes yet. You're the best gift I've ever gotten. So here's the best gift I could give in return. Love, Dad.
When it comes to your loved ones, give the most selfless gift of all, a secure financial future. New York Life Insurance Company has been protecting families for over 165 years and has the highest ratings currently awarded to any life insurer. Contact your New York Life agent or visit newyorklife.com.
Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. First-degree murder charges are facing a man from Hartville in the death of a 4-year-old boy. 22-year-old Terry Joe Volner has reportedly confessed that he killed Dusty Gunther by stabbing him in the throat and then dumping his body in a sewage lagoon near his home. Volner has a record of auto theft and burglary. He's reported to have called his mother, claimed he had killed the boy's entire family, and then sent a text message with a picture of the dead youngster. It may have been an electrical malfunction in a water pump that set off that fire in downtown Republic. The building at Main and Elm was an EPA Superfund cleanup site. The pump was being used to pump out contaminated groundwater as part of a 40-year cleanup process. And a fire in St. Robert is thought to be the work of an arsonist. The blaze raged through Century 21 Prestige Real Estate on Marshall Drive. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers.
Senator Jay Wasson will join Morning Line on Monday morning. It's your chance to call in, ask some pointed questions about what's going on in Jeff City. Don't forget, you're going to be voting on things that will affect your pocketbook. That's Monday morning, Morning Line. Join the show. Senator Jay Wasson, don't miss out.
If insurance was sold in the grocery store, it'd be easier to compare. Sydney here is in the market for car insurance.
That's right.
So what do you think of these brands? State Farm, Geico, Progressive, and Allstate.
Honestly, they're all pretty much the same to me.
Well, they all give safe drivers a discount, but look at the Allstate shelf.
What's that? A coupon?
Even better. It's a check. Only Allstate rewards safe drivers with an extra bonus every 6 months you're accident-free.
Nice.
Call Allstate today, and you'll also get a lifetime membership in Good Hands Roadside Assistance absolutely free. Get 24/7 access and low flat rates on everything from tows to tire changes. For your free membership kit, just call a local agent or 888-ALL-STATE today.
Shop less, get more. Make one call to an Allstate agent.
Bonus check not available in every state. Feature is optional. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and their affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Cold for today with a mix of clouds and sunshine, a high just 38. Winds from the north 6 to 12 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, a low down to 15. Mostly sunny but still cold as we start the weekend tomorrow, high near 40. Low for tomorrow night, 23. Mostly sunny on Sunday, high 47. We'll see a mix of clouds and sun as you head back to work on Monday, high 47. Partly cloudy on Tuesday, high of 50. I'm AccuWeather's Jason Lord.
The present temperature reading in Springfield is 40 degrees.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
And you're listening to Home Repairs and Solutions with Mark and Mary, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And once again, with the second half of the show, Mary Pearson and Mark Withers and their guest for today.
Welcome back, everyone.
Good to be back.
Hello, hello.
It's always good to be back.
That's right.
We sure went through that first half of the show quick.
Well, we did.
I don't know where that 30 minutes. I think we
Man.
got cheated on 30 minutes or something, but I'm not sure.
It just went by in a hurry.
That was a quick show.
Yes, it was. It's because Ron is so windy. He just, Nah,
That-
just
Well,
teasing
that's
you.
true. That's
That
true.
might be it. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
it was because Ron was giving us some good information.
That's right.
Well, see, now you're just feeding my ego.
Well, that's all right.
It was good information,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's right.
So, since you had a nice, relaxing weekend last weekend, what are you doing this weekend?
Well, tonight we have our monthly GOBS meeting, the Greater Ozarks Bluegrass Society. It's our monthly jam, and I'd like to invite everybody who either likes to listen to music, play music, come out and be with us, join up. We have our we start off. We have our meeting with all of our members, and then everybody just gets together and plays music, and we take new memberships and we just have a great time. We do that the second Friday night of each month, and we'll be out at River Bluff Fellowship, which is out on Evans Road. Fine folks out there. They just let us use the facility and have a great time. So we're going to be doing that tonight. So I invite everybody to come out and we do stuff. If you're a beginner or an old pro, you're welcome to join up to the Bluegrass Society, and we'd love to have you. So we're doing that tonight.
What time does that start?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yep. And tomorrow night, or tomorrow, I'm probably going to put Christmas lights up on the house tomorrow.
You
And,
are.
I'm kind of getting forced
You're
into the
kind of
deal.
waiting a little. You're kind of waiting a little late in the season here.
Yeah, I know. So, but plan on doing that and just having a kind of laid back weekend. Monday, the guys who do the theme song with me there, we will be over at Joy Assisted Living off of I believe that's on Mount Vernon or Grand Street. I can't remember. I think it's Mount Vernon Street. We're going to be over there playing Monday night about 6 o'clock and play for the folks there at the Assisted Living Home. And so if any of y'all are out and about over there, stop in and say hi to us. And still working on the Big Convoy of Hope fundraiser, which will be coming up March 3rd. So
there you go. I knew that if you took a weekend off, you'd pay for it.
Oh yeah, I always.
Now you got to catch up.
Got to catch up, yeah. So I was really supposed to put Christmas lights up last weekend.
That's
but
what I thought.
Ended up doing other things, and so.
Well, I think it's supposed to be fairly nice tomorrow, so maybe it'll be. Maybe you waited. Maybe that's all right.
Yeah, and if the sun's shining and it's at least a little bit warm, why the old Harley might come out of the garage for just a ride around town.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
You can't just let it be neglected and sit there.
Absolutely
no, that's just
not.
Nice.
No, that's not proper. Can't do that. Yeah. So anyway.
You go. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan. Well, we have a Christmas party we're going to go to tonight, and then we have friends coming. We're going to have dinner with them tomorrow, and I've got to finish Christmas shopping sometime.
You haven't done that, huh?
No, I don't have it all done. So I'm a little behind, but I will get it all done. It will all be done by Christmas. So.
I think mine is pretty well done as far as I know.
Far as you know.
Far as I know.
Okay.
I'm sure something else will pop
I've
up.
almost started mine.
Almost started.
All right. My kind of guy.
I've thought about starting it.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes.
So, yeah.
Well, but see, you don't have the kids and grandkids and all that kind of stuff, so you can kind of wait till the last
That
minute,
would make a difference.
And my family's pretty easy to buy for. If I get something from Bass Pro, my dad will be happy.
There you go.
Mom, that's going to take a little bit of thinking. She's not been giving me any good ideas. And
she doesn't like gift cards from Bass Pro too well.
No, not so much. Not as much as Dad does. And my sister, that won't be too big of a deal. So I've not got a whole lot of people to buy for, so I think it'll be all right.
I think you'll make it then.
Yeah.
I think I'll survive.
All right. Well, we hope so.
Yep, we do. If you'd like to give us a call, 862-9977, 1-800-375-0056. Free call for no matter where you are, so there's no excuse for not calling if you got a question.
There you go.
Yep.
Or a comment.
Or a comment, yeah. Or tell us what you're buying somebody for Christmas. We don't care.
Yeah, might give us a good idea.
It might do it.
Might help us out here.
Yep. It might do. And we're visiting with Ron Hartman here today from Remax House of Brokers, and Ron and his mom Donna have an office right there, and just right down the hall from me. Matter of fact,
we got good neighbors there. What can I say?
Absolutely, I feel the same. And so, we've been kind of talking about doing upgrades on your house and things that'll make you money and things that won't make you money. Let's move to the foreclosures and the short sales and all that. We were talking about that during before we went on the air today. What are you seeing as far as foreclosures, short sales, and everything? Still a lot of them out there?
Still a good chunk of them out there. Kind of like a lot of things in this area, in this part of the country, we're not as bad as the other areas, the bigger cities, the east and west coast. They've definitely been hit a lot worse than what we have been. Just to kind of give you an example of down in Nixa, as of last month, foreclosures only took up about 5% of what was active on the market. However, they took up about 25% of what was selling. So they're really not a large portion of the market, but they're what a lot of people are going for.
Right.
For the percentage of actives versus the percentage of the ones that are sold, it's a pretty significant chunk of the market.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly what the stats are at Springfield for that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's not too far off of those.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people are complaining it takes a long time to sell a house. About 40% of the homes that sell still sell in the first 30 days. The key is they have to be priced for 2011, not what they were worth back in 2007, 2008.
Right.
And the foreclosures and the short sales have really driven those prices down. I think we're somewhere around of 2002, 2003 prices for the market.
Right.
I think it's right around there.
Well, do you think the prices have pretty much stabilized at this point? Because, you know, there for a while they were dropping every year a certain percentage. But do you feel like that our market has kind of stabilized now, or is it still dropping?
I think this last year it dropped just a couple more percentage, not significantly like it had in the past. Or I'm kind of putting myself out on a limb here. For the most part, I'm going to say we've pretty much I think we've kind of stabilized. We may see over the next year maybe a little bit drop. Just kind of depends on what happens with the foreclosures and the short sales. The key to getting the market to turn around is once we get rid of the foreclosures and short sales, houses will start to be able to appreciate again. Those are what's holding home prices down right now. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but it's rough out there.
Yeah, it is. And what do you see as far as okay, so you have a neighborhood here that you got a new house listed in, but just down the street you had a foreclosure or a short sale. Do you see that affecting the appraisals?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've been hearing. And we had a new house that, you know, really got killed because a house just down the street, you know, was a foreclosure or short sale.
And beforehand, really before I even got into the business, there wasn't enough foreclosures or short sales to really affect the market value of a home. And in fact, appraisers, if it was a foreclosure, they wouldn't even count it as they're doing an appraisal.
Right.
But now there's so many of them compared to what used to be.
Sure.
That you have to take it into account when you're trying to figure out what a market value of a house is.
Yeah, it's really tough figuring it out now.
And what we've run into a couple other times is you may have a great home, a beautiful home, and you may get a contract on it for sales, but if it doesn't appraise out for what the buyer's bank says it should appraise for, you're going to run into some problems because then the buyer can't get a loan.
Sure.
And then your house isn't going to sell. And so those are really affecting those appraisal values.
Yeah, and that's what we ran into is the fact that, you know, we had a contract on the house, but, you know, when it came around to the appraisal, it didn't appraise out because of the foreclosure just down the street.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate that's happening.
It is, but I mean that's kind of the market we're in right now.
Yeah, that's true. And another, did you have something?
Well, we have a caller on the line.
Well, we do. Let's go to the phones. Talk to Mike here in Springfield. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, good morning, folks. I was listening to you a while ago, and you all had mentioned that it would behoove a person to make one extra payment at least once per year to reduce the payout in terms of amortization. I also heard that another strategy involves making two payments, say the 1st and 15th of each month, and that also helps to reduce the overall interest that one would pay. Could you go into a little bit of detail about the advantages of that system, that method, if you could, and I'll hang up and listen.
Appreciate the call, Mike.
You know, I'd like to give you a little bit more information on that than I think I'm going to be able to. I really haven't heard of doing it quite that way. It stands to think that any extra payments you go that are going to go towards your principal that will in turn reduce what interest you have, and so it sounds like it should be something that works.
And I've heard of that, a person splitting their payment up, doing it twice a month instead of once, and it does. And I'm like you, I've never really looked into that much to see how much it would actually benefit you. Yeah. But that's something I'll tell you what, I'll check on this week and report in next week, and so remind me to do that, Mary.
Definitely something to think about.
Because that is something, because that's something I hadn't thought about, but I have heard that he's talking about. Mm-hmm. So I'll do some checking.
Sounds good.
Isn't that where you take your regular monthly payment, though, instead of making, like if you owe $1,000 a month, you pay $500 on the first and $500 on the 15th. But I guess maybe in theory what that does is that takes off some of the amount because you're making, I don't know, it's confusing to me, but I've heard about that too, and it's supposed to reduce the principal a little quicker or something, but which I don't really understand if you're making the same payment every month, but something about paying it 2 weeks apart does something with the principal, which helps reduce the interest, but I don't understand how that works exactly either.
Well, now you got me kind of curious. I'm going to have to do some digging around on that because I hadn't really heard of doing it that way before.
Yeah, I've heard of that as well.
Yep, I have too. So, Mike, thank you. Kind of got our brains moving here a little bit. So we'll see if we can get him an answer for that for next week.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be up to you guys because that is not my field of expertise. So
well, we can sure do it. That's for sure. If a person's going to buy a short sale, they need to have some time. Don't be in a big hurry to get into the house because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen real quick.
That's a good point. The fastest I've ever personally had a short sale close is about 2 months. The longest is about 6 months. The average is right about somewhere in between 3 and 4 months is what it'll generally take from the time you get your offer and get it submitted to the bank and get the bank's approval to do the short sale. And most of the time I've done some short sales for some buyers where I was representing the buyer, and we would get halfway through the process, and about 3 months into it, they found out they got outbid on the property, and after that, they wanted nothing to do with the short sale, and so they started looking at just your privately owned houses that weren't short sales. But yeah, if you're wanting a short sale and you need to be moved in any certain time period, you need to look elsewhere because that's just not going to happen. And to be honest, I haven't really. We were talking about this earlier, Mark. I haven't really figured out why the banks take so long to get the approvals on these things, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but they're sure not in a hurry. And coming from an agent who's been on the phone with them about every day, they don't really care how much you ask them to move faster. They're going to go by their system and on their schedule, and you just kind of got to go along for the ride.
Right.
So if there's an offer on a short sale and you have another person interested in it, so if they bid that house higher than the initial contract, do they take precedent over the first contract? How does that work?
Technically, no.
Oh, okay.
Whoever has the first offer that gets accepted and is submitted to the bank should be the primary offer, and anything after that needs to be considered a backup offer.
Okay.
However, the bank is going to know what the backup offers are before they make a decision on that, and so they can simply just decline the first offer and take one of the backup offers.
Especially if it's for more money.
Yeah,
then it'd be beneficial to the bank to have please to get more money. Okay.
And it's kind of hard on those people that they think, well, we got our offer in first, and we should have consideration, and it's like, well, you kind of do, but at the same time, you don't really. Their chances are they're going to go with whatever the higher offer is. The time where they're going to maybe pick a lower offer, and I had this happen with a foreclosure, not a short sale, where I represented a guy buying a house, and he was going to fix it up and move in it himself. And they will generally take a owner-occupant offer over an investor's offer. As long as there's not a huge difference monetarily. I think the one I was thinking of, there was a couple $1,000 difference in between what my buyer had and what the other investor had. And they ended up going with my buyer because he was an owner-occupant.
So if you're going to make an offer on a house that's like in a short sale status, how do you know if there's already another offer on it? Since it takes them so long to get anything done, I mean, does that have to be disclosed to you? Or does the realtor know that? And so they say there's already been an offer? Or how does all that work?
The listing realtor will know if they have more than one offer on it. And they probably won't be allowed to tell you what the offer is, but they will tell you yes, there's 2 or 3 offers on it, and
I see.
And whether they tell you what the offer is or not just depends on whatever their agreement was with the seller. In most cases, in a short sale situation, the seller's not going to care so much. But what people have to remember is the seller still has to sign off on the contract with a short sale. It's not just completely the bank's call. The indecision is going to be the bank's on whether they accept a certain amount or not. But in most short sales, the sellers will generally just sign whatever the offer is and then submit it to the bank because they're not going to be getting any money back on them, so
Sure.
it's not a financial difference to them. But it's real hard. Those short sales can be good deals if you got the patience to put in the time and work with them, but they're not something for everybody.
Great for an investor that says, hey, I'm in no hurry. I'm not going to occupy this. This is going to be rental property or whatever. I'll take as long as I need to. And they just, don't worry about it. It'd be good in that aspect. But like you say, if you need to move into that piece of property pretty quick, it's probably not a good thing.
If you're on a time frame, you need to look elsewhere. No, normally foreclosures, they don't have the long periods like a short sale will. You can generally get in a foreclosure somewhere in the 30 to 45 day range. It's just those short sales. It's going to be a few months.
Sure.
Well, here's another question. I don't know how this works, but if you're in a situation where you're looking at foreclosure, you've missed a couple payments and the bank's on your back or whatever. Can that be somehow? Can that go from that status of going to go into foreclosure to becoming a short sale?
Yeah. All the short sale means is that you're selling it for less than what you owe on it.
But do you have to get that approved through the bank or something that's actually trying to foreclose?
Yeah, whenever, and depending on what bank you're with, and so a lot of times now, if as soon as they get a month or so behind rents, the banks will say, do you want to try to file for our short sale program and get approval for a short sale? If not, then it's going to be up to the homeowner or if they hire an agent to help sell the house, the agent will call the bank and say, hey, we've got this house listed, it's going to be a short sale. We need to get your short sale packet, and we need to start the process of getting this approved for a short sale. The problems that we run into a lot with that is you'll list the house, but the bank won't always tell you if it's going to qualify at the list price until you get a contract and send it in. So you'll get the house listed, and you'll say this is what the market value is, and you get the offer and you send it to the bank. Well, they won't make their decision until they get that offer if the price that you listed at is okay. And we've had some to where we started out at a certain price, which was market value for the house. We left it there for a little while, didn't get any activity, so we lowered it, and we lowered it a couple times to where it was probably about $10,000 below what market value was. We had no offers until that point, so we got the offer, sent it into the bank, and they said, well, we need it to be $10,000 higher before we'll accept it. And we were able to argue their appraisal, and we showed them some comps of why it was priced this way and why they're not going to get the higher amount, and they were able to reverse it. But it's frustrating a lot of times where they wait till you're 3 months into the process before they'll say, oh, no, we needed to start off here.
So do different banks have different rules as to how they operate their short sale programs?
A little bit, yeah. The biggest difference is going to be on what kind of loan program it is. If someone had an FHA, a VA, or a government financing loan, those are going to have different requirements for a short sale than if it was just a conventional loan. And the list of those different requirements is way too long for anybody to remember, so I can't really tell them to you. One of them is, I know you have to be at what they consider market value for at least 120 days before you can start reducing the price.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's quite a complex deal. What you have to
it
go
really
through.
is, and it'll change from month to month. I mean, I can tell you the way some things are going now, and then at the beginning of next year,
it'll be different.
They could be different. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we just have a couple minutes left in the program today. Give out your information, Ron, how folks can get a hold of you.
I'll be more than happy to do that. Again, Ron Hartman. I work at Remax House of Brokers here in Springfield. Probably the best way to get a hold of me is just on my cell phone. That is 417-766-3559. Again, that's 417-766-3559. Or you can go check out my website. It's thehartmangrouprealestate.com. Again, that's thehartmangrouprealestate.com. You can go there and look at houses and get more information around Springfield and the surrounding area.
Great.
Another way they can remember, aren't you the hot air balloon guys?
Yeah, we do have Remax. Their logo is big hot air balloon. So
Yeah, so there you go. If you can't remember Ron's name, just remember the hot air balloon logo.
There you go.
You can look him up that way.
And they'll probably remember the hot air because of me.
Which, by the way, do you have one of those around here? And how can I take a ride on that thing?
You know, it comes through every now and then, and I've got
I've seen it occasionally.
I've got a list of people that I'm supposed to give rides to. I don't know if I'll have the power to do that, but I'm sure going to try.
Well, you're not the pilot, are you?
No.
Okay.
You're safe.
Oh, okay. I was a little concerned there. But
Yeah. Mary, what you got going on this weekend?
Just finished Christmas shopping and try to go to. We're going to go to that party tonight, like I mentioned, and then go to dinner with our friends, and then I don't know. I think my husband's going fishing on Sunday, so
that might be a good thing. Yeah.
If the weather turns out nice, he's got fishing in his schedule. So
there you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
And how can folks get a hold of Spring Mountain Air?
They can give us a call at 831-4036. Don't forget, folks, if you're interested in the free furnace giveaway, you need to drop off your canned goods. You have one more week to get your name in for the drawing.
Yes, very exciting.
It is.
Ron, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Well, thanks for having me. I always enjoy it.
Enjoy having you. This is Home Repairs and Solutions, heard every Friday from 10 to 11, presented by Spring Mountain Air right here on AM 560 KWTO.